Hi, Mike.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. My name's Andy McLaughlin. How you doing?
Good, good. How are you?
I'm great. Just let me just say, I'm a great admirer of your work, both as a composer and as an improviser. You're just a huge influence, Mike.
Wow.
Basically, I'm calling from a guitar tuition company in Scotland. We're called Our Daily Shred, bit of a tongue-in-cheek name. And I just wanted to see if I could ask you a few questions just about careers and just guitar tuition, just your views.
Sure, sure, sure.
Let me begin then. Well, was a career in music something which was always a goal for you, or was it that you just realised, hey, I could make a living doing this?
No, but I started off in music. My mom used to be, just very much into music. All was in the house. There was classical music played and some jazz being played. And of course, I got more into stuff that was on the radio. A lot of soul. I was living in Washington D.C. I grew up in Washington D.C. A lot of soul music, a lot of some blues and rock, especially when. And then I picked up the guitar when I was 12, and I was more into blues and rockers. Jeff Beck, of course, Jimi Hendrix, of course, B.B. King and Buddy Guy and Albert King, and I kind of started learning that way and just by ear. And then I used to play along with the records. And then I took some of my mom's jazz records that she used to play around the house, and I said, that sounds cool. Let me try to play along with those records. And I tried, and I got lost right away. And that's when I started getting more serious and studying the guitar. But I've been playing since I was 12, and I think I got more into it when I was about 20. I got more serious, or a little bit before then, 18, 19, I started taking lessons. And then I went to music school when I was about 20, and for a little while, and then I continued to do that for 3 years at Berklee College of Music.
Yeah, that's great. What advice can you offer for young musicians who are looking to pursue a career in music?
What advice? Um, I would say do it no matter what. No matter what. If you're interested in music, you have to go for it. I think there's no choice. And sometimes I know musicians can't make a complete living with music. Sometimes they work a little bit and they have to do other things. But I still say you got to keep the music in your heart. If you want to play, you can't give it up, because if you have that desire and you don't follow through, you're always going to feel like something's missing in your life. I've seen this happen in my lifetime where people that it didn't work out for them financially, so they did other gigs, and then they said they don't have time to play. And then they came back to music, and they said, shit, I should never have left it. And they're just playing for the fun of it. And then oftentimes, even those people get gigs. The more they play, then they start getting gigs and gigging. One guy is now doing music completely, totally all the time. He left his other gig, his other day job, and he's making money as a musician. So the chances are that if you follow through with your passion for music, the more you put into it, the more your passion will grow for music, and then that means the more you're practicing, the better you get, and the odds are you'll be able to make a living doing music, either by teaching or by playing or all of the above, all playing or teaching or whatever, some uh, uh, gigs that you don't want to do, some gigs that you do want to do, that kind of stuff. But you do all of the above, and you can make a living doing music.
Yeah, that's great. Just moving on now, just to the music itself. When you're forming a band to go out on the road or to record or whatever, what specific qualities is it that you look for in the other musicians in your band, besides being great players?
I missed the middle part. What's the?
What specific qualities do you
Oh,
look
the
for?
qualities, the certain qualities. Well, usually I like players that are open to all kinds of music and are like-minded, like-minded musicians. Because as I said, I started off playing blues and rock, so some of that's in my music, and I never want to let it go. And of course, I've been playing kind of more bebop lines, and one of the things that I do is I listen to a lot of horn players like Sonny Rollins and of course John Coltrane and of course Miles. Even though I played with them, I listen to them all the time and try to get some of those lines. I transcribe a lot, sometimes solos, Stan Getz, whatever, and try to get some of those lines on. And of course Michael Brecker and Bob Berg, people that I've worked with, but I transcribe their solos, especially saxophone, sometimes piano players like McCoy Tyner or Herbie Hancock, and I try to transcribe their solos and try to get some of those ideas on the guitar, and it gives me kind of a fresh thing. But I'm into all kinds of music, so because I studied jazz very much, as I just said, with transcribing, with listening. But I'm my roots are kind of with blues and rock and some classical from my mom, So I don't really play classical guitar, but a lot of it is in me, I love that music. So I like people that have that kind of diversity in their interest. So having said that, I get different musicians, and sometimes the band usually it works, but sometimes it doesn't work as well with certain people as with others. So you have to put together a certain group. I usually work with a whole bunch of different people playing my music, like Dave Weckl knows my music, Dennis Chambers knows my music, Tom Kennedy, bass player, knows my music, Victor Wooten, bass player, knows my music, Alain Carroll knows my music. A lot of different players that I work with, but sometimes you have to pick and choose the combination for the rhythm section. Like Dave Weckl and Tom Kennedy work great together because they've been playing together since they were like 12. They grew up in St. Louis together, so they're amazing together. And Alain Carroll and this guy Lionel Cordew, that I play with a lot, great drummer. They work great together because Lionel and they just work best together, And Dennis and whoever always works great together. He's amazing. I mean, he does best, I think, with for somebody like Tom, also with Tom Kennedy or Victor Wooten. That's a great combination, Dennis and Victor. And Dave and Victor is a great combination. But some of them work better than others. But the main thing is that it's really interesting to play with all these great players. And, of course, saxophone players, Bob Franceschini, or, of course, I played with Bob Berg before he died in a car accident a few years ago, but we had a group together. Or Randy Brecker sometimes plays my stuff. And so I'm very honored to play with such great players. It's really an honor to be able to get them, and they're interested in playing with me, and I really appreciate it. But it's always different, and it's always a little bit of a challenge to put together different players. It takes a little bit of rehearsing and a couple of nights of playing before it really gels as a unit. And I think it's very important to realize that putting together just a bunch of good musicians isn't going to work no matter how great they are. It's not automatically going to work unless you have some direction for the songs, and that's up to whoever writes the songs. It's up to the band leader to kind of put it together, which I'm always learning about that. I look at music like, in all aspects of music, as just a journey that never ends. You never get. I feel like the more I know, the less I know. It's so involved. But I'm getting better at putting together bands and teaching them the music and making sure that everybody kind of gels together. And it's very interesting to me. It's very interesting to me, and it's exciting and inspiring to play with such great players. I'm doing something I'm coming to Europe with Dave and Tom, as you know, I think, coming
Yeah.
up very soon. Dave, Tom, and Bob Malik, great tenor player. And then as soon as I get home, I'm doing something at the Iridium with Terry Lynn Carrington, who knows my music also, and Esperanza Spalding, who has not played a lot of my tunes, but she was on my last record. She's the one that won the best Grammy, thing recently
Oh
for
yeah.
best new artist, and she's amazing. So I'm really looking forward to that because that's going to take me in a different direction. Also, she's going to play more upright. She plays a little electric. She plays good. Whatever she plays is great. But I'm going to want her to sing more also, and hope maybe I'll accompany her or try to, with some of her songs. So it's really a challenge, and it makes, even if you play some of the similar tunes that are fun to play live, if they're even if you play the same tunes with these kind of players, it's always different.
Yeah, that's great. Um, talking, you were mentioning being open-minded with other musicians. Do you think that being open-minded and having lots of different influences has helped you get gigs like with guys like Miles Davis and
Oh yeah. When I played with Miles, I realized how open-minded he was. He was talking about Charlie Parker sometimes in the afternoon, and then a couple hours later he would talk with equal excitement about Jimi Hendrix. The very first time he ever heard Jimi Hendrix, he said, "That is a motherfucker." I mean, he would, and it was really from the heart. It didn't have to do with like intelligence and how hard the chord changes were and all that stuff. So it didn't matter to him so much. At the end of the day, he understood a lot of that stuff. But what the most important thing was if it reached his heart, if a certain attitude that really got him, in a very emotional way, and that's what he was the most important thing to Miles. As I understood him, that was definitely the most important thing. Sometimes he would say things to the press that was not really he would just say it just to say it. But most of the time, I knew where he was at, for real, because I was hanging with him, and if it was coming from the heart, he was into it. And he was wide open to all kinds of music.
so we'll be open-minded.